Kremlin says NATO summit in Vilnius demonstrates anti-Russian attitude. The content of the NATO summit in Vilnius, Lithuania, demonstrates a strong anti-Russian attitude among representatives of NATO member countries, Kremlin spokesperson Dimitri Peskov said Tuesday during a regular conference call with journalists. "We are talking about a summit of an alliance that has a pronounced concentrated anti-Russian nature. Russia is perceived as an enemy, an adversary," Peskov said, adding that the location of the summit near Russia's borders is not as important as the conveyed hostile stance. Peskov warned that Ukraine's potential accession to NATO would be highly dangerous for European security, urging those who will be weighing the decision to consider the risks associated with such a step. On Turkey and Sweden, addressing Turkey's approval of Sweden's entry into NATO, Peskov said Russia acknowledges Ankar's obligations as a member of the alliance and added that despite disagreements, there are areas of mutual interest between Russia and Turkey that are significant for both countries. But he also noted that while Turkey can orient itself toward the West, there remains a reluctance from Europe to accept Turkey as a member. "If you call a spade, no one wants to see Turkey in Europe," Peskov told journalists, adding that Moscow intends to further develop the dialogue with Ankara. "Ukraine should join NATO as quickly as possible once conflict finishes," says UK Defense Secretary. "Ukraine should join NATO as quickly as possible, but only after the Russian invasion finishes," UK Defense Secretary Ben Wallace told CNN on Tuesday from the NATO summit in Vilnius, Lithuania. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has long asked to join the alliance, but many members have reservations about admitting Ukraine to its ranks while it is still at war. U.S. President Joe Biden told CNN on Sunday that Ukraine is not yet ready to join NATO, a message that Wallace echoed in the interview with CNN. "I totally agree with the United States that we can't have a new member in the middle of a conflict. That would just import war into the alliance," Wallace said. Wallace said that NATO members should work together to make sure that Russia fails in its illegal invasion of Ukraine, before permitting Ukraine to join the alliance. However, once the conflict finishes, Wallace said that NATO needed to be ready to accept Ukraine as a new member. "Given we have an open-door policy, it's important to state that we believe Ukraine does belong in NATO," Wallace said, adding that Ukraine had taken some of the necessary steps to get there, including strengthening its military and eliminating corruption. "Whenever this conflict finishes, we should be prepared as quickly as possible to bring Ukraine into NATO," Wallace said. The British Defense Secretary also said he was delighted by Turkey's 11th-hour decision to greenlight Sweden's bid to join NATO on the eve of the Vilnius summit, which he claimed to have been working quite hard behind the scenes with other Western officials to make sure this happens. "It's really important because first of all Russia will pick on countries that don't manage to get in or are transitioning from non-membership to membership. That can leave them exposed, and Russia, we often see, try to use division," he said. "But it's also really important for the integrity of the alliance. We have an open-door policy. We say if you meet certain conditions you can join." When asked why Turkey finally agreed to approve Sweden's bid, having obstructed it for months, Wallace claimed that Sweden had taken measures to deal with the threat posed by Kurdish terror groups that Turkey felt Sweden had been soft on. Wallace was asked if any other concessions had been made to Turkey to secure its approval, such as being provided with F-16 fighter jets or even having its bid to join the EU accelerated. "I don't know if there was anything extra," Wallace said, adding that Turkey's a long way from EU membership. He claimed that the international community talked to the Turkish at length to persuade them that Sweden's accession to NATO is in everyone's favor.